ZACK'S rules. It has zero welding, alternate body. It was only seatbelts. What we have here is a 2000 Toyota Camry. Now this is the second gen of the mid-size Toyota Camry. What we have here is the first generation mid-size Toyota Camry. Now these cars have a lot in common, and along being about the exact same color, the subframes are about the same, the frames are about the same, the struts are the same, the rear ends are the same. Basically the whole body and build of the car is the same. Yes, there's minor tweaks and all about that, but we'll get into that stuff later. But what we're going to do today is what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to get rid of the cruise control. Now, that doesn't seem like a big problem, and for a lot of cars, removing the cruise control is just as simple as cutting the cruise control cable and then basically just getting rid of the cruise control box. But on these Toyota Camrys, it's a little bit different. How it works is from your throttle pedal, it comes into this, and this is your cruise control box, and then it comes from this back into your throttle position. But what happens is you're getting in a couple collisions and the front end moves in and it hits this box, and now basically you have no throttle cable because that your throttle cable comes into this. So let's get these covers off and I'll show you guys what I mean. So now with the cover removed, you guys can see what I mean. This one here goes from your pedal into this, so when you give it gas, it moves this whole system here, which in turn moves that. So what you're going to want to do is you're basically going to want to disconnect where your gas pedal comes into the cruise control. And we're going to want to do that on both. But doing this on different cars is different. So there's a way to do it on the first gen midsize, and then there's a way to do it on the second gen midsize. Now I find the second generation takes a little bit more work, but it's really not that bad. So with the covers off, you basically just take two 12 mils, because it's Toyota, it's an import, basically everything's metric. What you're going to do is just take off the throttle cable on both of these cars. Now with both throttle cables removed off both cars, the next thing you're going to do is the line that goes from the cruise control to the intake in the throttle position, basically. You're going to want to undo that one as well. And you're basically going to want to get rid of it. So let's do this to both the cars. Now with the cruise control disconnected, what we can do is actually remove the whole cruise control unit from the car. On both the cars. For this Toyota Camry, it is really simple. Basically, all you do is run these two bolts out as far as they would go so you can fit it over top of the factory throttle cable mount. Take the throttle cable, put it into the mount of the where it's supposed to go, just like where the factory cruise control was. Just easy slip in, put her into position, a little bit looser so we can get it in there. There. And that's just as simple as how that is. Now the back one you basically have to run all the way out, because if you don't, the thing will rev quite high, like maybe idle around 15 to 1300 RPM. But I like doing that with these cars anyway, because it gets the RPMs up a little bit higher and it lets the vehicle not want to die between your automatic gear shifts between reverse and drive. Now this one being a manual, we'll see where I want it to idle. But let's start this up and see where this one idles. Now it's idling just over 1,000 RPM. That could be because it's cold, and it could be because of the cable, but realistically, that is where I like my derby cars to idle at. The reason why I like these derby cars to idle a little bit higher is because in the automatic ones, when you change gears, sometimes, in my experience, they like to bog down and almost die. So by having the higher idle, it gets it out of that boggy stage. So this one, that is how simple it is to change the throttle cable. That one over there has got a couple extra steps, so let's go take a look at that one. Now for this Toyota Camry, you're going to have to do about the exact same thing with bringing these adjuster screws all the way back as far as you can, but you have to do an extra step on these older Toyota Camrys. So what we've done here is we've done the exact same as what we've done to that, but there's a little extra step we have to do for these older Toyota Camrys, and I'm going to show you what I mean. So this is set up the exact same as that, but let's start this and I'll show you how high this one idles, because we got to do one more step. So let's see how high the idle is. So what you have to remove on this first gen mid-size Toyota Camry is up there. Let's see if I can get a video of this. This is basically the top of your gas pedal. You see that little bracket in behind there? Oh, this is hard to do, I'm sorry. You see those two bolts right there? You have to take that bracket off because it's got a stop that stops this pedal from going all the way to the firewall. You see it hitting that rubber stop? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that bracket back there off, that steel bracket with the two 10mm bolts, and then you gotta take the throttle cable off the top of the pedal to get that piece out of there. And once it's out of there, then we can hook the throttle back up to the intake. So let's get this done. And it's not an easy job, it's pretty hard to get underneath here and do this. This is the piece you wanna remove, and you basically wanna cut that 1-inch little lip off of there. So let's get that inch lip cut off and get this re-put on there. The little 1-inch step is cut off and I cleaned it all up. Let's reinstall this now, and then the only reason why we're reinstalling this is because it actually holds the throttle cable to the firewall, and that's kind of a must. So gonna put this back on now. So we got that piece cut off, we got the throttle cable put back in. Let's see what this thing idles at now. So that's how you change out these two cruise control boxes. This one is a little bit more work, but it's worth the work. In my opinion, it gets rid of one less item that could cause you wrong inside the derby ring. And one less item is one less thing to go wrong. Thanks for watching Zach's Workshop. Be sure to hit that like button and the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys back here tomorrow.